Shalom and welcome to my channel. A new coworker of mine was about to use the kosher microwave in our office, and I said to her, just, you know that's a kosher microwave. So she said, what? It's just chicken. Assuming that chicken is a kosher animal, she thought her food was kosher and she could use the kosher microwave. So by the end of this video, you'll understand what it means when we say kosher food and why it's so much more complex than simply eating kosher meat. Food is a big part of our lives, and the Jewish people were given many laws related to food in order to bring holiness into the act of eating. They help us develop self-control and remind us that even eating can be done in ways that are reflected in godly values. Another important aspect of Kashrut is that it historically helped us preserve Jewish identity. Because food is such a part of social life, these Kashrut laws naturally created boundaries between the Jewish community and its surroundings, helping to preserve Jewish identity and traditions throughout thousands of years. So which animals are kosher? So mammals must both chew their cud, meaning chew their food twice, and have split hooves. For example, of kosher animals are cows, goats, sheep, and non-kosher examples are, for example, donkey, a horse, a pig. A pig does have split hooves, but does not chew his cud. Fish must have both fins and scales. For example, salmon, tuna. Non-kosher examples are shark, lobster, shrimp. For birds, unlike mammals and fish, we don't have a simple rule to identify kosher birds, but we do have tradition in which we know which birds are kosher. For example, chicken, duck, turkey is kosher. Non-kosher examples are eagle and hawk, and insects are considered not kosher. So for example, flies, beetles, ants are not kosher. And that is why in certain fruits and vegetables where we know that there are many insects, we have to check very well to make sure that there are no insects. For example, broccoli and lettuce, there are known to be lots of insects. So we check properly, some just by looking, others will wash with soap, and a stricter kashrut is to only grow these vegetables in a very special way that is known to have no or very few insects. But even if an animal or a bird is from a kosher species, it still has to be slaughtered in a very specific way according to Jewish law in order to be considered kosher. This kosher slaughter is called Shechita, and it's done with a very sharp knife in one swift movement to minimize the animal's suffering. An animal that dies without proper slaughter is not kosher. And also before the animal is slaughtered, he must be checked that he doesn't have any defect or illness. If it does have a defect, even if it's slaughtered in the exact specific way, it's still not considered kosher. After the slaughter, you have to remove certain parts that are prohibited to eat. For example, chelev or giranashe, or remove the blood in a very specific way. Some don't know, but eggs and milk, eggs are kosher only if they come from a kosher animal. Milk is also only kosher if it's from a kosher animal. So even if we have kosher meat and kosher dairy that are each kosher separately, they cannot be cooked together. And in Jewish tradition, even not eaten together. Many customs actually wait before eating dairy after having meat. A lot wait 6 hours. I am lucky that my husband's tradition that I took on is only waiting 3 hours between meat and dairy, so that is a much easier wait, which is why in kosher homes, food, dishes, utensils between dairy and meat are completely separate. Some even have separate sinks or separate working surfaces. I know my in-laws have a part of their counter that they use for meat and a part of their counter that they use for dairy. There is actually a third category of foods that are not dairy and not meat. We call them parav. This is fruits, vegetables, fish, eggs. My kids are always asking when they're younger, is this parav? Is this dairy? They're trying to understand. And when people think of kosher food, they usually think about the meat or dairy, but there are actually a lot of laws related to the parav foods as well, specifically related to the produce and in the land of Israel. For example, certain agriculture mixes are prohibited from being planted together. After growing fruit, the fruit is not allowed to be eaten 3 years after the planting. Produce grown in the land of Israel is required a separation of a certain portion, traditionally given to the priests or to poor people. Also, when you make a large batch of dough, you have to separate a small amount traditionally given to the priests. As you see, there is a lot to know, and it's not just about eating kosher meat. I hope this video sheds some light on kashrut and eating kosher. Obviously, there are many more details, but this is a good place to start. And because modern food production is so complex, many kosher consumers rely on certifications to help verify that ingredients and the processes are done according to kosher standards. So in the next video, we'll discuss kosher certifications, how this all works. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Shalom!